Welcome everyone. In this video, let's look into our day 4 of the professional course. This day 4 course is divided into 5 different sections. In that, we'll be looking into section 1, which is wall paneling. See, in your day 1 course, while exploring the public library, I would have shown you some readily available wall panels, right? Where you have multitude of designs. You can just pick it and drop it in your wall. You can control its overall dimensions and you can change its finish. For geometry editing, it's not feasible. And during that time, you would have wondered, how can we create a custom wall panel design from the scratch, right? And that is exactly what we're going to discuss in this session. So if you like to create a wall panel, first select the wall. It will show wall editor in your floating window, right? Click it. And this will open up your wall editor window where your wall will be in the elevation view and you can custom design your wall panel from the scratch. Can you see? This is what your wall editor window is. So first let's just understand the UI of this wall editor window. Okay, so this wall editor window has an horizontal menu bar on the top where you have your undo and redo and your clear option. Clear is always something that has to do with deleting, either deleting everything or deleting based on the categories. And on the right hand side of this menu bar, you have a save option. Once you designed your wall panel, you can just click on save and exit this window. The wall panel will be updated in your main modeling. And this X mark will help you to exit your wall editor window. Apart from your horizontal menu bar, you will see that there is a sub-horizontal toolbar here, right? This toolbar will have all the useful tools which you need to create a wall panel from the scratch. For example, if you want to create any wall panel, you first need to divide the surface, right? You need to bifurcate the surface. That bifurcation could be done using any of these 3 geometry tools. So here you have your line tool, straight line, double line and curve. And the shortcut for all these tools will be mentioned right next to the name tool. This one is your rectangle tool and polygon, and this one is your circle and oval tool. Apart from this, the another important tool here will be offset tool. Shortcut is O, using which you can offset a surface. And then you have your measure tool here, which is typically your tape tool, using which you can measure a distance between 2 points. And then comes in your reference line. While creating a wall panel, if you like to draw a reference line based on which your surface could be divided, then you can just use this shortcut as T. And if you want, you can hide all your reference line using this tool, or if you want, you can even delete all the reference line using this single tool. Apart from that, you have your material brush, shortcut is M, using which you can copy a finish from one surface to another. And the last tool here is the template tool. We'll be talking detail about this template tool by the end of the session. And this is your main modeling window where your selected wall will be in elevation view. You can start working and customizing this elevation depending on your wall panel design. And on the right hand side, you will see a 3D preview. So as you make the changes in this elevation view of the wall, you can precisely see how it is getting updated in your 3D view too. Using this toggle, you can increase or decrease the size of your preview window. Apart from that, on the left here, you have your materials tab, which will have all your public library materials of different categories. Using this, you will be able to apply any finish to your wall panel in this wall editor window itself. Tilt brush or apply it in your modeling editor window too. In addition to your finishes, you could even find your wall decorations which you could add it for this wall. Can you see here? All your public library wall decors could be accessed from this wall editor window itself. You don't have to go to your main window and apply it. You can precisely do it here. And once it is added here, you can just save and exit the window. The same public library model will be updated in your main modeling window. And in addition to your public library finishes and models, if you notice by the end here, you will see something known as My Account, right? Just click it and this will open up your My Account window where you will see something known as Uploads. If you click it, this will open up your personal library of finishes. So these are all my personal library of finishes which I uploaded in my account. Select it and apply my personal library finish to the wall panel too. So this is for the UI, user interface of your wall editor windows. So now let us focus on the different types of wall panels. See, if you take any wall panel design, it would fall in either of these 3 categories. First category is your extrusion based wall panel, something like this. Second category will be your molding based wall panel, something like this. And your third will be your louver based wall panel, something like this. And in this session, we'll be talking about how we can create these three types of wall panel designs in your wall editor window. Okay. So before starting with that, first let me just explain you how I'm going to design this wall panel. So for this wall, I'm planning to go for an extrusion based wall panel on the left hand part. And on the center part, I'm planning to use a molding based wall panel. And as this molding based wall panel progresses towards the right hand side of the wall, I'll be again getting back to the extrusion based wall panel, following the same design as my molding, and a Cove lighting will be added for those components too. So this is what the design is. And once this is done for the another wall, let me just go for a louver based wall panel. So once you have your design ready, we can start with your wall paneling modeling. And when it comes to wall panel modeling in NAADI, it shares a similar process to your SketchUp. So if you want to create a wall panel design in SketchUp, you might follow a process, right? First, it generally starts with dividing the surface. Right now we have this entire wall as one single surface. First, we need to divide the surface. So for that, I could use the geometry tool which is present above. In this case, first I would like to create my extrusion based wall panel here. So for that, I could use a line tool to first divide the surface vertically into two, my left and the right segment. Okay. And in this process, I could just draw a line anywhere. If you notice here, while drawing the line to divide, I'm drawing it outside the wall and I'm ending it outside, right? It really doesn't matter. Once your line is drawn, just press escape. Can you see any line which is outside your wall will automatically be removed? Okay, only the line which falls within that wall will be considered. So this way you don't have to worry about precisely starting from the edge and ending it in the edge. Just start it outside and make it precise. And in this process also, your reference line will guide you. Can you see here? It will snap to your orthos and it will guide you in this process. So this way, I have successfully divided the surface into two. But the surface has been divided by this line randomly, right? I want this line to be exactly 1200 mm from the left wall. Right now, can you see the distance? It is showing as 1269. So how can I move this line precisely at a distance of 1200 from the left? Exactly the same process what was addressed in your previous session. So if you want to move something, just select it. It will show you its respective clearance. Can you see? It is showing you the respective clearance of the selected line from the left and from the right. In my case, my left edge should be 1200. And you can just select the respective clearance and edit it based on your requirement. And edit it based on your requirement. Let me just make it as 1200. Press enter. Can you see this line has precisely moved at a distance of 1200, right? So this is what the process here is. So that way we precisely divided the surface. And now I need to add an extrusion here. See, right now if you notice, we just divided the surface, right? I need to add an extrusion. So for that, in your conventional tool, you will use your push-pull tool to create that extrusion, right? Here in your wall editor window, we don't have a push-pull tool. Instead, you have something called extrusion here. Can you see? For all the surface at the bottom right, you will see something known as extrusion. All you have to do is just type in how many units you would like to extrude. As simple as that. In my case here, I would like to extrude the left side of the wall panel to about 100 mm. Just select it and type it as 100. Press enter. The surface, the left hand side part will automatically be extruded to about 100 mm here. You can clearly see it in this preview window. Can you see here? So this way we added an extrusion here. But my design doesn't stop here. I'm actually planning to go for a copper based wall paneling for this entire extruded part. So for that, you could use your rectangle tool and start drawing the copper profile here. But before that, I would generally recommend you to place your reference line. So in this, can you see? I have a guideline shortcut as T, right? Using this, you first try to create a reference line for this copper design. So for that, first I need to create an offset from the left at about 100 mm. I could do the same thing from the top, from the bottom, and from the right. Now can you see here? I've created parallel reference line on all the four sides of this extrusion. And now I could also create a reference line for each and every copper. I can do the same process for the height too. And this way you can just create n number of reference line for all the coffer, or instead try to do it for just 2 rows. That is because later once we created this profile, we can use your array tool to duplicate it at multiple points. Okay, so once we have it here, now I could just use your rectangle tool to first create my first coffer region here. So can you see this is my first region, and this coffer is not going to be a single extrusion. I'm planning to go for a multi-level extrusion for this coffer. So for that I have to create another rectangle inside it with a clearance of 50 mm. So for that I could use the offset tool. Can you see here? Shortcut is using which I can precisely create an offset within the surface, and I can type in the offset distance. Can you see? So in this case here I'm planning to go for a 50 mm offset. That is done. And once you created a single coffer unit, you could just control its depth here. So in my case right now, can you see both the regions of the single coffer unit, it's extruded for 100 mm. But I want to create a depth of 20 mm for each level here. So in this case, this one should be 80 and this one should be 60, decreasing further 20 units. So now can you see, this is how this coffer extrusion will look like. So once this is done, I could select the single coffer unit here by holding shift and multi-selecting it. And then can you see in your floating window, at the first you will see something known as array tool. If you click it up, here you will see there are 3 types of array. In this, linear array is something that will be commonly using on majority of the scenarios. In some cases, if you want to arrange it on a circular way, then you can go for your ring array. Ring array is nothing but your typical polar array in your CAD. So in this case, let me just go for linear array. So just click it up. First, you have to select the source point, the copy point where you like to. In my case, this is this one. Just click it. I could start with your linear array process. And here, when it comes to linear array, there are actually 2 types of linear array. One is fixed spacing, where I can type in the center to center distance between the unit based on which the array will happen. The second one and most intuitive is the fixed quantity, where you don't have to worry about the center to center distance. You just have to mention how many quantities you want this selected component to be arrayed. In my case, I want this to be arrayed 3 quantity horizontally, right? I can just define it. As simple as that. Once that is done, just click on the destination point. Now can you see that coffer unit is precisely arrayed horizontally. And in this arraying process, you would have noticed even the extrusion depth is also applied for all this thing. So this way, if you're planning to duplicate an extruded unit at multiple points, it is better you apply the extrusion first, and then you can either use your array tool, or you could even use your duplicate option too. Yes, you even have your duplicate option. Shortcut is Ctrl C. So if you press Ctrl C, you can manually just copy, duplicate it and place it. Since we already have a reference line here, it is much more easy for us to paste it at multiple points. And in this duplicate process, if we just place it at any point, it will show you its respective clearance. Can you see right now the distance of this copied unit from the top unit is 62 mm, but I want it as 50, right? Just type it as 50, press enter, and rest all be 100. Once that is done, just left click it. You're good to go. Now I can follow the same process and duplicate it at multiple points. So once you created your coffer point, now what is remaining is your finish application, right? I told you you could apply a public library finish from the left window, right? So in this, you can just go for wall decor, and here you have different categories of finishes. In this, let me just go for paints and coatings, and I could just select my desired finish. In my case, in this, let me just go for this one. Just click it and apply it for the surface. As simple as that. And now once it is applied, I could use the material brush to copy this finish from this surface, and I could apply it for multiple surfaces. Can you see here? So finish for the coffer is applied. Now what is remaining is your cove lighting. Yes, for the edge of this overall extrusion, I would like to add a cove lighting. In your conventional modeling, adding a cove lighting for a wall panel is a huge headache, right? Where you have to create a profile, use your follow me tool to create a cavity throughout that entire region, and then you have to place your rectangle lighting which will act like a cove lighting. But here in this tool, the process is extremely simple. All you have to do is just select the edge where you like to add a cove lighting. In my case, this is the extrusion edge. Let me just select it. Once that is done, on the left here, can you see it is opening up a window, right? And here you will see an option named the intended lamp light, right? Just toggle it on. That's it. Your cove lighting is added just in seconds. And now here, You could just control the brightness of the cove lighting, your color of the cove lighting, and the width and thickness of the lighting strip which is present in that cove. To that precision you can control it. So let me just click on the color and this will open up the color swatch. Here I can just select any color for my cove lighting. Can you see? Or if you're going in for a standard warmer, cooler and neutral white, that is also readily available on top. In my case, let me just go for a warmer tone for this cove light. Just select it, it is updated. And here, when it comes to brightness of any lighting, including your cove light, it will be mentioned in terms of percentages. Percentage is a generic unit to measure the intensity of brightness of a lighting. So what I'll do is, going forward, when addressing the brightness of a light, I'll just give you a range based on which you could adjust that specific light. So that way, for any cove lighting, my personal recommendation is to set the brightness anywhere between 300 to 700. In some rare occasions, you might exceed beyond 700, or if you want, you can even reduce it to 250 or 200. And using this, I could even control the width and thickness of the strip light for this cove. Let it be 10 mm according to my design. And once this is done, on the top here, can you see there is something called section edit, right? If you click it up, this will open up your cove section. Yes, this is your actual cove section, where this is your wall and this one is your cove part. And in this you can precisely control the width and depth of your curve too, based on your design. So in my case here, the width of the curve should be 50 mm. I can adjust it, and the depth of this curve should be 45 mm. Can you see? Based on which it is getting updated. Not only that, can you see this yellow circular part? That is your strip light. You could select it and drag it and control the position of your strip light in your curve too. Let me just place it this way. Or if you want to adjust the strip light precisely, can you see it is also showing the clearance distance. So this way you can maintain it. So if I want the strip lighting to be placed 10 mm from the left edge and 80 mm from the top, I could adjust it. Once that is done, just click on done here. That's it. We precisely added your cove lighting in seconds. Can you see that selected line is turned into yellow, right? Which represents that we've added a cove lighting for that point. So this is how you'll be able to create any extrusion based wall panel and add a cove lighting for it. So now, apart from this copper wall panel, I'm also planning to go for a molding based wall panel in the middle segment of this wall. For that, the process is almost similar like your extrusion. It starts with dividing your surface first. So in this way, I'm planning to actually create a U-shaped molding that will alternate vertically. Okay, so if one molding is coming this way, another molding will come right next to it on this way. It will be followed throughout the entire process. And once it has reached to the right hand side part, I'm planning to naturally transition it into a normal extrusion based wall panel. So for that, first you could use the reference line, shortcut is T, to demarcate the region for your surface to build. And once this is done, now we could precisely start with dividing the surface. So in that, first let me just use my rectangle tool to just draw a rectangle for this part. And once that is done, I could use the curve tool here to create a typical 3-point arc at the top point of this divide. I could just select the starting point, the destination point, and the third point will control the intensity of the curve. So now can you see? So now this is one surface and this one is another separate surface. But we want it to be like one continuous surface, right? To make that, just select that line which is dividing that and delete it, as simple as that. So now this entire part will be one single surface. And now I could follow the same process and create another inverted U from the top. So now once you created both these, you could just select the surface and you could either use your array tool to array it for the entire segment, or you could use your conventional Control C, which is the duplicate option, to duplicate it at multiple points. In this case here, the distance between these two should be 200. So I'm just typing it as 200. And if you notice, while shifting between the clearance, I'm using the tab button. Tab is the shortcut to shift between the clearances or dimensions to edit it according to your requirement. And in this process, don't worry if some of the components are going out. Like I said, any line which is extended beyond the wall will automatically be deleted. And once this is done, so out of this 5, the first 3 will be your molding based wall panel, and these 2 will be your conventional extrusion based wall panel with cove lighting on the edges. So for the molding based wall panel here, on the left, where you have your public library of models and materials, right? If you just look, there is something called molding, correct? Click it, and here you will see different types of molding. Your corner moldings, this is your inner corner molding, your outer corner molding, your baseboard, and your decorative molding. All those are available here. In this kind of a requirement, decorative molding is something that you could go for. So just click on decorative molding, and here you will see different interesting molding profiles. And in this, if you're looking for any generic molding design, I'm sure you'll be able to find it somewhere in this. In my case here, I'm just looking for a plain circular molding. Yeah, something like this. So once you selected it, just click it up. Can you see that molding is attached to the cursor? And now, if we just place this cursor inside any enclosed surface, can you see? The edges of that surface is automatically getting highlighted in blue, right? Which means if I just click it on this surface, can you see the molding is automatically applied to all the edges of this surface here, right? You could precisely see it in your preview window too. That's it, as simple as that. So this is how we can create a molding based wall panel. But what if you want to apply this for some selected edges of that surface instead of everything? Simple, same process only. Only difference is that you have to hold Control in your keyboard. Can you see? If you press Control, it will only highlight the selected edges. So this way I can just apply this for this curve or for this line and for this line. So I could individually apply it, or if I just leave my Control button in the keyboard, it will automatically detect all the edges of this curve and it will precisely apply it. So this is how simple you can create a molding based wall panel. And once that molding is created, you can just select that molding, and on the left it will show you the properties of the molding, where you can control the dimensions. Right now, can you see the length and width of this molding, which is 15 and 19 mm. You can edit it too. In my case here, I want this molding width to be about 30 mm. Edit it, based on which, can you see, it will be updated. Once a molding is applied, you can select it and you can edit its property. Dimension is just one property. This way you can just rotate the texture, control the offset, vertical, horizontal. You could even change your finishes of the molding too. Can you see this is the material which is applied? Just click on this replace, go to model catalog, and here you will find all your generic finishes. Can you see? In this you can just select any of the finish. Just in seconds it will be updated. As simple as that. So this is how you should be able to create a molding based wall panel for your designs. So now I could follow the same process and create a molding for these two surfaces too. And for this other two surface, like I said, I'm trying to create like a conventional extrusion. So for that I can just select it, add an extrusion value. Let me just go for 100 mm. And once the extrusion is applied, now we can play with the finishes. So now once that is done, then what is remaining is your Cove lighting. So for that you can just select all the edges here, and you can take the intended lamp belt so that it will add the Cove lighting for all the selected edges. Or you can just select one edge here and apply the intended lamp belt. Okay, which means your Cove lighting. So now the Cove lighting is added for the selected edge alone. You just change the brightness of the Cove lighting, color of it, and if you want you can even control the width and thickness of the strip lighting too. Not only that, click on the section edit and even control the section of the selected edge for the Cove. So now can you see only this selected edge is turned into our edge, right? Which means we've added Cove lighting only for this edge. And once it is added, just select that edge, and here in the floating window, can you see the duplicate option? Shortcut is Ctrl C, right? Just click it and just select your other edges. Can you see? The same Cove property will be applied for that selected edge too, right? So it is that simple. You can either multi-select all the edges and apply the Cove lighting commonly, or you can just select one edge and apply the Cove lighting, edit its property and make it precise. Once that is done, just select that Cove lighting edge, use Ctrl C to copy the property and apply it for other edges. This will save you a lot of time. And if you want to apply this property for multiple edges, you can just hold shift, drag and select multiple edges too. Okay, so that way the property will be applied for multiple edges at a time. So once that is done, I could focus on the wall decor. So I said on the left hand tab, you will find your public library material and public library model, right? So here you can just select this wall decorations, and you will find different types of wall decor. Photo wall, decorative pictures, pendants, wall stickers, wall light at alternative points. So in this case here, I'm trying to use this pendant exactly at the center of these three moldings here. So for that, just click it, and can you see that pendant is copied, right? So I could just place it, and since we already have a reference line, I could define it and I could just click it at the center. And once that wall decoration is applied, just select the wall decoration. On the left, it will show you the property of that wall decor, which means I can control the length, width and height of this wall decor, or I could even rotate it, or I can even control the distance of this from the floor, which is the position of this decor from the floor. All this could be precisely controlled from the left. Not only that, if you want to control the position of it, you can even control using this clearance tool. I could follow the same process and apply the same decor for these two. Can you see here how simple we added a wall decor in your wall editor window itself? Apart from that, if you want to add any other wall decor, that is precisely feasible too. And once this is all done, you can just click on save and exit your wall editor window. This entire wall panel will be updated in your main modeling window. But what if you want to use the same wall panel in another wall of the same project or in a different project? If you want, you can do the entire process what was addressed from the scratch. But if we are focusing on efficiency, then templates play a very crucial role. Yes, once you created your wall panel in your wall editor, you could save it as a template so that you can use it within the same project or in a completely different project. You don't have to worry about creating this entire process from the scratch. So if you like to save your wall panel as a template, can you see on the right hand side of the sub horizontal toolbar, you have your template option, right? Just place your cursor, it will open up a drop down. In this, select the first option, select all as template. Once selected, it will just ask you to type the name of the template. Once that is done, just click on done. That's it. Your wall panel, what we created here, will be saved as a template. That way, can you see, these are all the different wall panel templates which I created in my previous projects. And once it is saved as a template, I could just click on save. I could just exit this wall editor. Now that wall panel what we created will precisely be updated in the main modeling window of this wall. Can you see here? And now if I want to apply the same wall panel design for another project here, just click on that wall, go to wall editor, and in your wall editor window you don't have to do that entire process from the scratch. Since we already save it as a template, go to this my account here, and there you will see something known as my styling, right? Click it, and here you will see all the wall panel which you saved as a template in your login. Can you see here? This way, this is the wall panel what we created. It will show you a render preview of that wall panel. Now if you want to apply this for this wall, just select the wall, and here just place your cursor on that template and click on apply. That's it. Now can you see that template is precisely applied to your wall, but still it is not completely applied. It is showing you a preview of how that would look if it is applied. Here if you want to just reduce the width, increase the width, all those things you can do it here. Can you see you have your dimensional toggles on all the four sides, right? You can control the dimensions. Not only that, if you want to rotate, you can rotate it using this rotate tool in the floating window, or if you want to mirror it up, you can even have your flip tool here. Can you see? You can just click it and you can flip it up horizontally or vertically. And once that is done, if you are okay with the preview what you are looking, then click on done. Now this wall panel will precisely be applied to this new wall. And here if you notice, it has even templated your wall decor which was added to the wall, right? So it will completely template all the components which are added in the wall editor. And you know what the best part of this? You could edit this wall panel which was applied from the template. Okay, so just because you saved as a template doesn't mean that that is the final design. So in this case here, let's just say that I don't want this part. If you just select it, and can you see I have the clear option, right? Just click it up and clear it. You can delete it. Okay, don't worry, it won't affect your template. The template once saved will be permanently there. What we are editing here is the template that is being updated onto the wall. Okay, so we are editing the design, not the template which is saved. So in this, if you want to delete a wall decor, you could delete it, or if you want to change with the finish, you could proceed. You could just treat it exactly like a wall panel which was treated from the scratch. And once this editing is done, just click on save and exit your wall editor window. This edited wall panel will be updated in the main modeling window. So now what we are left with is your third type of wall panel, which is your Louver wall panel, right? So when it comes to Louver wall panel, there is a method to actually create it in your wall editor itself, but it might be a bit time consuming process. Instead, you have an easy and a customizable way of creating a Louver panel, which is from our catalog. So here, if you just go to advanced tool, you can either go for your kitchen or closet. So this will open up your closet modeling window, and here can you see under auxiliaries, click on this in panel subcategory, and there you will see your Louver in panel. Okay, you can literally use it like your conventional wall panel and design. You just click it and place it on the wall. Can you see it will detect your wall? It will snap to the wall too. And once it is snapped, I could just control the dimensions. So for that, I could just select the wall panel. On the right hand side, it will show you with respective properties, right? The dimensional properties, using which you can control it precise, or you can use this toggle to increase the dimensions manually too. Can you see here? And the best part of using this Louver panel from our catalog is you could control the design of this Louver from the parameters. So here can you see in your parameter window of this specific Louver panel, you will find something known as groove spacing, right? This talks about the spacing of your groove. Right now it is 20 mm spacing. I could just make it as 10 mm. Can you see here? Or 50 mm, based on which the design will be. And not only a groove spacing, I could even control the groove depth as well. Can you see here? So depth of the groove. In default, this Louver in panel will be 18 mm thick. If you want, you can control the panel thickness here. Can you see? I could just make it as 20 mm, 25 mm according to your requirement, based on which it will be adapted. And I could control the groove depth. So right now of this 25 mm, 5 mm is the groove depth. If you want, you can increase the groove depth or decrease it according to your requirement. And I can even control the groove width as well, the width of the single groove. Right now it is 4. I could just make it as 10. Can you see? Or 25, based on which the design will change. And not only that, the best part is, if you want to curve any of the edges of this Louver panel, you can do it too. I'll just give you one example. So in this case here, I want the top side of the Louver panel to be a semicircle. In your parameter, if you scroll down, there is something called corner type, right? Right now it is straight, which means it is a rectilinear panel. Just click it and make it as rounded. And once it is rounded, you will see 4 parameters here, which will help you to control the corner radius of all the 4 corners of this panel. Can you see here? Left top, left bottom, right top and right bottom. You can control it. So this way, I can make the top left as 625 and the top right as 625. So that will create a semicircle. If you want, you can do the same thing for the bottom too. So to this precision, you'll be able to edit the geometry and the design of the Louver panel based on the requirement. So with this, your section 1 of the day 4 professional course is completed.